This is a news video from WSBTV.com about this case. I'm going to play it.
Take a look. This is Camesha Johnson. It all happened hours after she dropped students off at summer school. Channel 2's Tom Jones is live in Clayton County, and Tom police say they have no clue who shot her.
That's right, Karen. All police will say right now is they are investigating and they have nothing. Camesha Johnson was parked over here behind this gas station. After she was shot, she managed to drive around these pumps, and her car traveled all the way over there where it hit a curb and came to a stop. Her family is heartbroken over her death.
We had such a special bond.
This is how special of a bond Virginia Hunter had with her 36-year-old daughter, Camesha Johnson. Last Thursday, as both left for work, their Ring video camera picked up Camesha's affection for her mother.
She's a mama. She said, I ain't giving you no hug. And so she hugged me. She's a mama. She said, I love you.
Hours later, Camesha was dead.
But this is her happy spot.
The Clayton County school bus driver was parked behind this BP on Highway 85 and Thomas Road that night. She would come here to pray, meditate, and have a smoke.
She went to that same BP every day faithfully. And I used to tell her how dangerous it was.
As she sat in her car, someone shot her.
She was shot in her left shoulder.
The bullet then hit her heart. A BP manager says surveillance video shows her driving through their parking lot, and her car came to a rest on this curb.
The front two tires was up on the curb.
Camesha died from her wounds. She was married. Her husband told me he has no idea who would want to harm her.
We don't have any enemies. Nobody wants to hurt me. Nobody wants to hurt her.
The family wants the killer caught. Camesha's mother says she loved driving kids to school. She says her students are going to be really hurt when school starts back.
So they're going to be looking for Miss Johnson, and Miss Johnson is not there.
And the family says nothing was taken from Camesha's car, even though there was a laptop and money inside. So they say it doesn't look like this was a robbery. They say police told them that Camesha's car sat over there with her inside for more than an hour. The family is asking anyone with any information to contact police. We're live in Clayton County. Tom Jones, Channel 2 Action News.
Okay, from that news story from WSBTV.com, we learned that she was apparently sitting in her car behind the BP gas station, and apparently she was shot, if the man in the video is correct, in her left shoulder, which would mean she was possibly shot. If she was in her driver's seat sitting, she was possibly somebody possibly just walked up on her and shot her in her left shoulder. Or it could be that somebody walked up on her, pointed a gun at her, and told her to move over to the passenger seat, and then shot her in her left shoulder once the person who shot her was also inside the car. I have not heard anything about her window being shot out, so either she had her window down, and that would make sense if she was smoking cigarettes or a joint. I'm not saying she was a pot smoker. I'm just saying in the video they say she's likes to have a smoke. I don't know if that means cigarettes or marijuana. So she might have her windows down if she was smoking something. So then somebody could easily come up to her and shoot her in her left shoulder without her window being blown out. Because I didn't hear anything about her window being blown out or glass on the ground, so I'm assuming that it wasn't, that her window was down, or that somebody was in the car with her when they shot her, meaning that she would have to have been maybe in the passenger seat. Like maybe she scooted over for somebody to get in the driver's seat, somebody she knew or somebody she didn't know. So if this was a random robber or a carjacker, or let's say a pervert, they could come up to her driver's side window. She's sitting there minding her own business, and they hold a gun to her head and say, either scoot over or give me this or give me that, give me your money, whatever. Maybe she resisted or tried to drive off, and they ended up shooting her. So it could be a random crime, because Clayton County, Georgia, where this happened, is a very high crime area. There are a lot of shootings, robberies, thefts, murders. I mean, you name it. There's a lot of crime here. Clayton County, Georgia is just south of Atlanta. Fulton County, Georgia, and like a lot of areas in the USA, it has a lot of crime. Maybe more than some other areas, because I think it's relatively a small county in Georgia. I live in Georgia. So it's one of the smaller counties in Georgia, but I think it has one of the highest crime rates, if I'm not mistaken, of all the counties. Not maybe the highest crime rated county, but it is one of the highest ones in the whole state, even though it's a smaller county. So, but anyway, so it could be a random criminal, stranger, somebody she did not know at all, walked up to her car and something didn't go well, whether he was trying to rob her or carjack her. And you heard in the video where she was shot and then apparently her car moved. So I'm assuming when she was found in the driver's seat, obviously. So that would mean that she was shot while in the driver's seat. But it could also mean maybe, somebody was in her car with her, somebody she knew, or a random criminal who got in the car and made her get to the passenger seat and things didn't go well. She resisted whatever the criminal was trying to do. And so they shot her and got out of the car and ran. And then she moved over to her driver's seat and then ended up, to save her life because she'd been shot. She wanted to get away or get help. And she ended up, dying right there in front of the BP gas station and sat there for 2 hours. Maybe she passed out because she had been shot, lost blood, and then she continued to bleed out and then passed away there. Nobody knew it because it was at nighttime. It's about 10 o'clock when she was shot, and she was found around midnight. So it happened June 29th on a Thursday night, and they found her after midnight, around midnight, so it had been June 30th, early Friday morning. So, I mean, I'm just going over different scenarios that could have happened. Unless, like I said, it could be somebody she know who met her there and they walked up to the driver's side and shot her while she was sitting in the driver's side seat. Or it could have been somebody who was sitting in her car with her and they happened to be in the driver's seat, but then she moved over to the driver's seat to try to get help for herself. So I have no idea whether it's somebody who knew her or not, but hopefully police, I'm sure they are looking at all aspects. And the first people they're going to look at are her husband and her family, relatives, friends, co-workers, and stuff like that. Because you always look to those closest to the victims, because unfortunately most people are murdered by people they know. And the reason, they always look at the husband, spouses, but I had to mention him because in this story it doesn't mention that they're separated, but in another news story it does mention that they are separated. So that could mean that they are going through a divorce. It could be contentious. He could have anger towards her or resentment. And also you have to take into account who in her life would benefit from her dying or who would want her dead. And does she have life insurance policies on her life? She works for the Clayton County School District. Does she? I'm assuming most people who are employed have life insurance that is offered by their employers. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. And I think county workers would, or state workers. So if she's working for the Clayton County School Board as a bus driver, they might have a life insurance policy, or she could have her own life insurance policies. She was married, maybe her and her husband had life insurance policies for each other. So the police, of course, are probably, I'm sure, looking into all these type things. Okay, now here's a second news story on this case. This is from Fox 5 Atlanta. I'm just going to read this one to you. It says, it took 2 hours for someone to find her daughter's body. My baby sat there. This was published July 6, 2023 at 10:23 p.m. And the WSB story, I believe, was from July 7th. Okay, Riverdale, Georgia. It's been 1 week since Camesha Johnson was found shot to death in a gas station parking lot off of State Route 85 in Riverdale. Her body was discovered in her car early Friday. She'd been shot to death. Her family is desperate to know who killed her and why. The victim's family dealt a double blow, their loss compounded by the circumstances surrounding her death. My baby sat there for 2 hours waiting for someone to come help her. Nobody came to help her, said Johnson's mother, Virginia Hunter. The 36-year-old worked as a bus driver for the Clayton County School District. She was separated from her husband and lived with her parents in Riverdale. So you see, she was separated from her husband and living with her parents in Riverdale. Her body was discovered in her car at around midnight Friday, just a few miles from her home. So this was midnight Friday of last week. So that would have been June 30th. So she was actually found dead June 30th or like early morning July 1st. She was found around midnight June 30th. So this case is barely like over a week old. Her body was discovered in her car around midnight Friday, just a few miles from her home. Her parents said she was shot once. The bullet traveled through her shoulder and pierced her heart, but it doesn't say right or left shoulder. So again, I'm not sure because it does make a difference if she was shot from outside her window, the driver's seat window, or inside, like somebody was sitting in there with her. The police, I'm sure, are investigating all of this and know more facts than they're letting out because this is a very new case, so there's not a whole lot of information about it. So I imagine that hopefully they will solve it soon, but I just felt it in my heart to do this case. Just something about this case touched my heart. She just seems like a really good person, a spiritual or religious person, and a friendly person, and to just be shot down for no reason, it just seems awful. But let's see. She was such a beautiful person inside and out, her mom said. She loved to laugh, loved to dance. She was just such a free spirit person, and I want to know who do this. No, she's a picture of her right there. Camesha Johnson. Johnson's parents said she often parked behind the BP, and it's a gas station on Highway 85 and Thomas Road, taking time out of her day for prayer or quiet reflection. And she said, I just praise him, Hunter recalled. And I said, Camesha, baby, it's just so dangerous out here. She said, Mama, I'm aware of my surroundings. I'm not afraid to die, but I'm aware of my surroundings. Her parents said surveillance video showed Johnson's car traveling through the parking lot at around 10 p.m. Thursday, past the gas station pumps before jumping a curb and coming to a stop. Okay, so it's Thursday night into Friday morning. So that would have been the June 29th and June 30th early morning. So she was shot June 29th around 10 p.m. and they found her body at midnight Friday, which would have been June 30th. So her car traveled past the gas station pumps before jumping a curb and coming to a stop. The vehicle sat there for about 2 hours before someone looked inside and discovered Johnson's body. Her family can't imagine why anyone would harm her, but suspect it was someone she knew. So in this news story, her parents say it was someone she knew. I want to find out who did this because they took my baby, her mother said. They took my baby from me. As Johnson's family searches for answers, anyone with information in the case is urged to call Clayton County Police. So if you know anything at all about this case, please contact Clayton County Police in Clayton County, Georgia. Now, a few things that I get from this news story is even though in the first news story we watched in the video, her husband was there, it seemed like with her parents. In this news story, her parents say that she was separated from her husband. So separated doesn't mean that they hated each other, but it does always cause concern when somebody ends up murdered and they're going through a divorce or a separation or something like that, some kind of family drama, because it could mean that somebody in the family is a suspect. So her husband, of course, is probably being looked at by the Clayton County Police in this case just because he's one of the people closest to her. And apparently, they are going through a divorce or at least separated at this time. So it could be that they have video surveillance of more than just her car at 10 p.m. after she was shot. Maybe they have video surveillance from behind the BP gas station or the side wherever she was parked at. So maybe the police know more about the suspect, but so far, to my knowledge, police have not released any information about a suspect or anybody who they think was involved in this case. So hopefully this case will be solved, unlike so many others, just because it's new, it's fresh, and hopefully the police will be able to put together who did this. It is possible it's just a random crime. She was sitting in a car minding her own business and somebody came up to her car. Or hopefully she had her doors locked, but maybe she didn't have her doors locked. Somebody got in on the passenger side or the back seat and ended up shooting her, maybe trying to kidnap her, SA her, or whatever, or rob her, and it didn't go well. And there's also, maybe she let somebody in. Maybe she had a friend who she was meeting there. She was separated. Did she have a potential boyfriend who she was meeting there? And he ended up shooting her. So I'm sure police are looking at all these aspects. I hope so anyway. But I wanted to do this story to help make it not become a cold case. Hopefully it will be solved and solved soon. So this is the case I'll keep up with. And like I said, it did touch my heart. I don't exactly know why. Just, you hear bad news on the news all the time. But I live in Georgia and I know a lot about Clayton County. So even though I know it's a high crime area, this case just seems to me like it's going to be maybe a little bit more than just a random act of crime. I could be wrong, but to me it seems like maybe somebody who knew her intentionally shot her. And that's what her parents say in this news story also, that her parents think that it was somebody who knew her. So I don't know who they think did it. I don't think they suspect her husband because you remember in the other news story from WSBTV.com, we saw that her husband was sitting right next to her parents. So if they thought or suspected him, surely they wouldn't be sitting there next to him doing a news interview. But anyway, this is Camesha Johnson. Some more pictures of Camesha. She is 36 years old, a beautiful young woman, and a school bus driver for Clayton County Schools. And it's so sad. I think summer school might have been over. It might have been her last day of summer school, and maybe she wouldn't be going back until the fall. So when she goes back in the fall, like her mother said, these kids are just going to be devastated. Where's Miss Johnson? Where's Miss Johnson? I believe that's her mother on the left, and that's her right on the right. A beautiful family. And that is a nice car. Maybe somebody wanted to steal her car and it didn't go well. But this is where her car ended up after she was shot. It jumped a curb and just sat there for 2 hours until somebody noticed. But you can see it's nighttime, of course. She was found around midnight and a little bit tinted windows. So somebody just didn't notice that she was deceased or shot. Probably they thought somebody was, either drunk or sleeping, whatever. A lot of people don't pay attention to their surroundings and know what's going on. So this is a memorial page for Camesha Renee Johnson from hopefunerals.com. Says she was born April 17th, 1987 and died June 30th, 2023 at age 36. And it says Camesha R. Johnson, 36, of Riverdale, passed away Friday, June 30th, 2023. Funeral service will be held Sunday, July 16th, 1 p.m. at Hope Banquet Hall, 990 Point South Parkway, Jonesboro, Georgia, 30238. Hope Funeral Home. And then here are some more pictures that people posted on the memorial website. I believe this is her on the right here. Could be wrong, but I think she's on the right. And that's some, getting ready for a wedding. There she is in the back seat. It says they're fixing to go on a camping trip to Roberta. I believe Roberta, Georgia is what they're talking about. I could be wrong. And that she was really excited and thought it was cool that they were trying something new. So it looked like she was a happy and adventurous type person. And then, of course, people have left condolences. And let's see if I can find where they. Let me see if I can. Maybe if I refresh it. Here we go. Yeah. People have left a lot of condolences and stuff to her. So obviously, she was a well loved person and she touched a lot of people's hearts during her life. So it's just very sad and tragic. Just another senseless murder. But right there, Camesha Renee Johnson. So if you know anything at all about this case, please contact the Clayton County Police in Clayton County, Georgia. Don't let this case become a cold case, and hopefully it won't be, since this is a newer case and hopefully police are on it and looking at every aspect, and this won't just become a cold case because they can't get enough evidence against whoever did this.